many times during the cold months, especially during the holiday season, and we are making a lot of gifts that have a fleece base or maybe like a Sherpa type material where the loft of the material is really, quite a bit. It's very high, and sometimes our stitches can get lost in that area. Anything that may have like nap or wale, terry cloth, like really thick terry cloth. You see a lot of beanies. You see, again, the high pile fleece. Sherpas, things like that. Again, our stitches can get lost. There are a couple of different techniques that we can use to help reduce the stitches getting lost. Sometimes what people will do is actually cut the fleece before they embroider it and kind of shave it down a little bit. But you do have to know where your stitches are going. Another popular technique is to create a base layer of stitching that is typically embroidered in the same color or match the color of the garment so that it's not really seen. And what we do for this is we create a very open fill, sometimes two layers, with a crisscross, excuse me, or opposite stitch angles. And let me show you with this. So here I have a name on my screen, and I'd like to embroider this, again on like a Sherpa. That's a very popular garment right now. What I would do is first create the background shape. And in this case, I'm just going to use a rectangle. So on the right hand side, I will click on Create Rectangle. And with this, where it says area, I do want it as an area. I don't want it as a line. The stitch type, we will go ahead and choose the complex fill, although we're changed the complex fill settings. And then I also want to change the color because I don't want it to the same color as my lettering. Again, it will be the color closest to your garment. So I'll just choose gray here. I'll choose a little bit of a darker gray and press OK. Actually, I'm going to choose black because my background's gray, so it'll be a little bit easier to see. So what I'm going to do is I'd like to kind of go just a little bit outside, give it a little bit of a margin to start drawing. And because when I draw with this tool, it is a square, but if I hold my control key, it'll turn into a rectangle. So I start in one corner, and then I'm going to left click, hold, and drag into the opposite corner. I'm going to hold my shift key and draw a box or, a rectangle around my area. I'm holding the control key, so again, it does make that rectangle. Once I'm happy with that, I let go of the left click, let go of the control. I'll press escape to get out of the tool. Now my settings, I don't have the stitching automatically happen or automatically generate after I let go of my tool, so I have to hit the go button. And what it does is it put it right on top of my lettering. We will change this in a minute, but what I'd like to do is change the stitch type, or not the stitch type, but the stitch settings in here to accommodate for the kind of background stitch. I don't need a really heavy stitch because I just need something to lay it down. So kind of like an underlay. So with it right click selected, I'm going to hit my space bar, which will go to my stitch settings. Here I will go to the complex fill. Actually, before we do that, I apologize. We are going to deselect the underlay. We're actually making, in a sense, our own type of underlay, our own type of base layer stitching. So then I'll go to the complex tab. I'm going to move this over to the right hand side here, and I'm going to change the density. I'm going to open it up. I am in millimeters. If you're in inches, you may need to make the necessary adjustments between millimeters and inches. So here I'm going to make the density 3 millimeters. I'll apply it, and what you'll see is that you'll see a very open stitch. We don't have an underlay underneath it, so you're not seeing kind of like a crosshatch. With this too, I can also use smooth edges. If you see here, there's my jagged edges. That's just the way typically a tatami stitch or a complex fill will stitch. If I use the smooth edges, it will kind of square it off. And if I hit apply, you can see how it squares it off. That's okay with your larger densities. I'm going to change the density to 4 and apply, and you'll see it open up a little bit more. So then I'll press OK, and after I hit OK, I'm going to right click off to the side. So you can see that it does have travel stitches which go along the edge of that area to accommodate for the stitch angle and the in and out points. Because our stitch angle is going in, if I right click on it, you can see my stitch direction right here. Let's go ahead and zoom in. I'm going to hit Z on my keyboard, and you can see that stitch direction tool. I'm actually going to zoom out just a little bit. Right click to deselect. But since my stitching is going in this direction, I'm going to take the in point, bring it over here, take the out point, bring it over here, so that I don't have any travel stitches. Press go. So if I right click off to the side, you can now see I don't have any travel stitches. So with this, if I want to make another layer with the stitching going in a 90 or a perpendicular direction, what I can do is, first of all, let me check the direction in my stitching. So I'll hit the space bar with a right click selected, go to complex, and you can see my direction. Let's just make it easy. Let's make this, let's say I do a 45, and then we will do 45 plus 90 is 135. We'll apply that and then press OK. So with this selected, all I have to do is go to Edit and Copy, and then Edit and Paste. Has the same exact properties, so I don't have to redo any of the properties. All I have to do is just right click on that top layer, press the space bar, go to the complex tab, change this to 45, and press OK. Then I'll generate, and now you can see it makes like a crosshatch. So I'm going to take these two, I'm going to hold the control key and left click on each frame. It selects both frames, right click inside the frame, and move to top. So now it's stitching first. Also, if I select this, my in point is here, my out point is there. Let's take that second layer and make those opposite so that it stitches without having to have a trim. So if we do that, now you can see that. So here, that's kind of our background or base layer. You can change the densities, you can change, which will change the spacing. So with it both selected, if I hold my control key and left click on each one, it'll act as a right click on screen. Maybe if I want to take it to a 5 density, which in a sense makes it a 3, or I'm sorry, a 2.5, because you have 2 layers at 5 going in opposite directions. So that opens it up a little bit more. It is going to depend on what you're stitching on, like how much density you want, but you don't need a whole lot to put down or lay down those stitches in the background. Now let's say your lettering, I'm going to left click off to the side, my lettering here is over here, and I drew the box. I have actually 2 different boxes. I'm going to hit Control Z. Well, even if I have 2 different boxes and I want to make sure they are lined up, I can left click, hold, and drag a box around both layers. When I let go of my left click, both layers are selected, and then I can come down here to the bottom and I can align vertical center, and then I can align horizontal center. That's just down here at the bottom. I can also do that through my edit bar under Align and Distribute. So once those are both aligned and with them both selected, I can group them together so that they don't come apart. So I'll go to Edit and then Group Ungroup. Now if I want to make sure this is lined center, I can select this, hold my control key, select my box, which is both boxes, and then I can do the same thing. Align vertical center and align horizontal center. So now you've got that background layer to lay down the fabric, and then you've got your stitches on top. So we first talked about doing a base layer with a regular rectangle or a circle, but we can also do it by following the shape of the design. We could do that a couple of different ways. I'm going to zoom in here and right click to deselect my zoom. I could choose the tool Create Freehand Area, and when I left click on this, it says it is an area. I'll go ahead and choose complex fill again. Let's change the color to black and leave the pre-close function off. When I do draw an area, I can do a series of left clicks, which is a corner point, or a right click, which is a smooth point. If I make a click that I don't like, I can always hit backspace on my keyboard and go back one at a time. So you can see this is more of a manual process, which is fine. But again, you know, you're just kind of following the shape of your design, and again I'm just using left clicks and right clicks. So I did hit backspace a little while ago. I didn't like a point that I made. I don't like that one, so I'm going to hit backspace and then redo that point. So without boring you on all the clicking, I'll just hurry up and finish. And then of course you can always go back into your edit outline mode and change anything that you want should you not like it. So we'll just go like this, and I can hit enter to end the inputting, press escape to get out of the tool, and generate my stitches. So now I've got the complex fill. I'll hit my space bar, I'll turn off the underlay as we did before, turn on the smooth edges, density, we'll do it at a 5, direction at 45. I'll apply that and hit OK and hit go. And then I can change my in and out points should I like. And then with it right click selected, Control C, Control V. Here's this one. Change my angle to 135. Okay, right click, generate my stitches, and then here I will also change my in and out points. And so now you see that it's going along the outline. I would also take that area and bring it up to the top, or you can right click select and say move to top. So that is your knockdown stitch for a contour. Now I'm going to delete this and show you another way we can do it. This works in this instance because of just the design itself. Sometimes you will have to manually punch and sometimes you won't. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the word Andrea, and with it all selected, which I used a left click on my first frame, hold my shift key, left click on the last frame, I'm going to go to edit and copy and edit paste. Now it is paste on top, directly on top, and I'm going to make that second layer a different color just so I can see it. What I'm going to do with this is merge it all together because I'm going to create an offset for the whole thing, or an outline for the whole thing. So I will go into my view outline with the second layer selected, and then go up to outline and merge. Now it's all merged together. You can see that it's all one piece, and you can see in our stitch sequence viewer it's all one piece. From here I'm going to go to the outline view just so I can see it a bit better. I'm going to go up to outline and create outline from area edges. I'm just going to create a run with an offset of positive 2 millimeters. Depending upon how far offset you want it, it really kind of is going to be based on the design itself. And press OK. And here it does create the offset or the outline, but you can see that I've got some like little jagged areas that maybe need to be cleaned up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the outline view and clean up my little jagged areas just by I'm selecting these with a left click and then hitting delete on my keyboard. And that's okay. and just kind of cleaning these up as necessary. If you do, go ahead and zoom in on your area. You know, really, I don't need these pieces. Okay, so I'm going to zoom the whole design. Let's go ahead and generate our stitches, and then we can see our outline. I'm going to right click on the outline, and I'm going to go back to the outline view, and I'm going to go to outline, create area from line. So what it's going to do, it's going to create an area. Right now it's an open area, so, or not an open area, it's a line because it is open and it doesn't connect anywhere. So I'm going to make the width 1 millimeter, which would mean that it's going to create an area based on the line that is selected. I'll press OK. Once it does that, it creates several areas. Let's change the color and press OK. So I actually have several little inside areas. I'm going to take these inside areas, select them all with Control and left click and Control Delete. I'm also going to take the outline and the fill that I merged together and Control Delete. I don't need those anymore. I just used that second layer as a foundation. Now from here, I'm going to go to the outline view, and I'm going to go to outline and fill void, and I'm going to fill all the voids. It's going to fill it right up. So now I have, now it's a satin stitch. We'll have to change it to a complex fill. In this section right here, it's very, very thin as far as the opening goes. Same thing with over here. I might close it up. It really doesn't make sense. So go to the outline view. Inside the gray area, I will right click. I can go to adjust with a line and go from here to here. Select the line and adjust it. Same thing from here to here. Left click on this to define the segment. Select the segment and then it adjusts it. Press escape to get out of the tool. I'm going to hit Z on my keyboard and regenerate my stitches. So then, with it being a complex fill, I'll go hit my spacebar. I will deselect the use underlay, go to complex, we'll change the direction to 45, change the density, let's go to 4 here, and use smooth edges. Press OK and generate my stitches. So here, there's my in point. I'll bring it over here, out point over here, and generate. Then Control C and Control V, which is the same as copy and paste. Take that second layer, hit the space bar, go to the complex fill, 135, OK, generate stitches, and then take the in and out points and bring them at the opposite ends again. Generate my stitches. Select the two areas with Control and left click, right click inside the frame and move to top. Now I have my background stitch or base layer in that outline. So again, I hope this helps. If you do need anything, please let us know.